Hey everyone, my name's Sam. I just wanted to first off say thank you so much for tuning in. This is part three of my seven-part series of my time down in Costa Rica at Rythmia Life Advancement Center. The first few videos was my time leading up to going down there, and then my first ceremony. So this video is actually going to be about my second ceremony that I partook down in Costa Rica. So I guess I'll kind of just first off start giving you the kind of the atmosphere leading up to this second ceremony. I realized from the first one that I received so much and it was perfect and it was a great introduction. And I realized that there was more levels that I wanted to go kind of deeper into myself for this second ceremony. And so, kind of leading up to it, I told myself that I had this confronting energy, kind of maybe more like a masculine, just kind of a more intense, confronting kind of vibe leading up to it. I knew that there was some things that I still needed to kind of confront myself with, and that kind of led into my intention. Again, I actually stuck with the same intention at first leading into the ceremony, which was to show me who I've become. I just needed that further push leading into this ceremony, and I think that I felt that as well because of the shaman who was leading the second ceremony, and his name was Brad. And he had his actually own brew that he made of ayahuasca that we would be drinking on this second ceremony. And I was very thankful for his brew and his energy. He had this intense kind of look in his eyes, almost like he was kind of staring into your soul kind of vibe to him, but very powerful. And overall, I think the tone was set that it was going to be a different experience for sure than the first ceremony. And if you remember in the first ceremony, I kind of was in my corner surrounded by all the girls. But tonight I was like, all right, I'm confronting myself. Like, I am going all in. And I kind of had this mantra that I was carrying with me throughout the ceremony. And I ended up bringing it with me throughout the rest of the week. But that was, the universe rewards bravery. And so what I did was I actually chose a mattress that was right in the center of the whole Maloka. And I had a great view of where the shamans were doing work. And I was also next to this awesome altar that I'll kind of get into more detail later. But, and this time I was also surrounded by my boys. So it was the four of us kind of all in this space together. And one of the cool things was one of my friends, Taylor, he had this kind of spiritual card deck, kind of like animal card readings, I guess, in a way. And so I kind of wanted to use that in with my intention of show me who I've become. And the card that I drew was the stag. And the stag energy actually means to lead. So during this ceremony, I was getting different downloads of me in different areas of my life where I'm feeling called to lead, essentially. And I'll kind of get into that more later throughout this ceremony and other ceremonies. But it was a very powerful energy, and it made sense to me. And so after the first drink, it was obviously, different than the last time. I was a little less nervous, excited, not sure to expect with a new brew and a new shaman, and kind of went back down to my mattress. And this night I pretty much stayed put. I did not go out to the fire. I was like, I'm going to stay in my mattress and just kind of be here and hang out. And so now I kind of knew how the medicine is working through you. And this time I would say, I think as it was working through me, I actually was starting to receive sacred surgery, which is something that happens when you drink ayahuasca. It's a very powerful experience. Basically, the medicine, it's kind of like being in a operating room in a way. At least that's how it was for me, but in this different spiritual realm, I guess, in a way. I don't really remember much of it. I just remember that it was happening. So they must have had, they talk about having anesthesia and you kind of going under. And so I don't know. I just remember hearing it was like the consultation type voice where someone was talking to me, whether it was my higher self or the deity of Mother Ayahuasca. I'm not really sure, but I just know that it was like they were doing this surgery on me and kind of reconfiguring things in my brain and other things that they were doing. And And I just remember thinking it was kind of like a spiritual tune-up in a way. Like you kind of go to this place, and it's like taking your car in basically to get work done, to have a tune-up on it. And that's just kind of how I related. But it was weird because it felt so familiar to me, like I had done it before, or it just made so much sense. Like, yeah, of course I need this spiritual tune-up. I need to go and have these entities or my higher self or somebody work on me, because obviously there was some neurons not firing correctly in my brain, and I just needed energy to be removed or moved around in some sense, that basically it would kind of put me back in alignment and reconnect myself. So yeah, so once I got through the sacred surgery, it was like then I felt like I was kind of ascending into higher dimensions in a way. It was like once they were able to kind of reconfigure some things, then I could kind of ascend and reach some higher realms. And I got to some places for sure in this second ceremony. I was kind of in this realm where I felt like things were magnified in a way, and things were kind of mystical and magical, and things were not the same as kind of your normal 3D consciousness. So I don't know the different kind of dimensions and their properties, but I guess kind of the big thing that I got from this dimension that I was in was it was kind of like this divine realm that I had ascended to, and it almost felt like the realm of the gods. And in this realm, one of the biggest things that came to me was it was actually kind of like the creative realm. And for some reason, what actually came to me was Dr. Seuss. And specifically his book, Oh, the Places He'll Go. And I just loved reading Dr. Seuss as a child, and still to this day as an adult, and that book especially. And I think that kind of what I gathered and what I was being shown was that I was in the realm where basically all these great geniuses and creators over the years had come to and basically got their ideas and their inspiration, and they would pluck it like a piece of fruit and then bring it into the physical realm, and where they would manifest, in Dr. Seuss's case, these wonderful children's stories. And it's like this place, he couldn't have gotten it from anywhere else, because this place was so magical, and it had all these infinite ideas and possibilities, and just that total creative side of our brains. And I guess that's what it was happening. I was unlocking this creative side of my brain in a sense. And that was powerful, because I think I've felt I'm a creator. I haven't necessarily expressed it in ways that I've wanted to. I have expressed it in certain ways, but now I feel like I am more so, especially creating videos, and that's what I'm doing. I'm creating things. and so that was cool in this higher realm. But then the thing that really got me was I was telepathic. So basically, the shamans who were working there was Brad, the shaman from that night, and then Scott from the previous night, and then this wonderful helper, Gula, who was also a yoga instructor, but she helped out at every single ceremony, just this wonderful woman. And they were literally telepathically communicating with me, because once you're in ceremony, you have sacred silence. Nobody's talking to each other. It's just you're just kind of listening to music and watching the shamans doing healings, but no one's talking. So they were literally sending me and messages to my brain telepathically. And I guess kind of how it was is they were guiding me in a sense, like they were helping me navigate through the medicine and navigate through what I was experiencing. And I think kind of one of the big realizations I had was it was like all of them together was like, okay, you've arrived. Like it was kind of like this laughter, like it was almost like a joke in a sense, like, all right, you've gone through all this other stuff, like, but now you're here. This is kind of why we brought you here. This is what we wanted to show you. These are kind of the downloads that we were hoping you would get. And now you're in this realm with us. You're on this higher plane of existence, kind of in a way. And finally, after maybe a ceremony and a half or however long, it's like you're finally here with us. And so in this realm, it was like they could communicate with me telepathically and help kind of guide me further along my journey. And I was really thankful because I just got all these amazing downloads and continued to experience all these wonderful things. And I think kind of once that happened, then the dance started to happen and the storytelling. And I'll just kind of premise this, but it came to me as this is the greatest story that was ever told. And so it was kind of like the music that was playing was amazing. And so this greatest story was actually the dance between the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And it was like this interwoven, and it was like one would come and then the other would come, and it was just that's how it felt like the universe came to be, in a sense. Like, I don't exactly know fully, but it just felt like this is how our world and the universe came to be, was these two energies kind of just dancing, just this beautiful dance. And it played that in the music, because it would be like the masculine would be in the music, and it would be telling the story essentially, and the masculine were these great storytellers. It was like our ancestors, or this energy that was just telling this amazing story through spoken word, but also being kind of grounded and present and stoic, and at the same time being joyful and having laughter, and just as kind of that masculine energy is, and also can be confronting at times, but from a place of love. And so the masculine energy would come, and then all of a sudden the feminine energy would kind of take over, and it would be like, no, 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 like, you guys are having your own fun, but us women and this feminine energy, we have to really feel our emotions. You speak through your body language and your spoken word and your actions, but us women, this feminine, we have to speak through our emotions. And I got the sense that it was much more powerful. And I think, being a man, it's like I had so much more humility towards what women in this lifetime are experiencing, because emotion is hard to go through. It's a lot of ups and downs, and it can feel chaotic at times and painful. And I think I kind of mentioned previously that, me growing up in this society, and as a man, I've just suppressed these emotions because they are a very powerful energy, but we have to feel through them. And I can't even imagine how much more women feel their emotions than I do myself. And that was kind of the sense that I got as the divine feminine was coming in. And it was just like, every time the divine feminine took over, it was like you could just feel the emotion in the air. And that was usually the time people were purging and releasing all this energy. And then it would go back to the masculine, and it was just this dance, just interwoven and just so beautiful. Just the mystery and the awe and the teasing and the give and the take, and I was just so grateful to be shown this dance and hear this story. And I think that was one of the most powerful things that I took away from the experience, because I realized as well, when usually you think of men and women as separate, like men being masculine and women being feminine, but actually in all of us we have both masculine and feminine energies, and we have this dance kind of in us in a sense as well. And so we have to recognize those different aspects of ourselves. And I think one of the greatest things that I got was I actually was able to balance the feminine and the masculine energies within myself. And I guess I'll kind of go into this now, but during this time this was kind of my first actually Egyptian vibes that I got in the ceremony. And I'm still learning about ancient Egypt, but I think it was a very powerful, transformative place. I'm not entirely sure their spiritual beliefs, but one thing that I did get is this necklace that I've been wearing, which is the Ankh. And the Ankh represents, for me, what I gathered was the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And so this top part here is actually the womb, and the bottom part here actually represents the male part, as you can see. And so this being the divine feminine and this being the divine masculine, and I kind of gathered that the Ankh is actually like this tuning fork where it actually is rebalancing and recentering those energies within you. And so I was just so thankful that I felt that these energies were coming into balance, because I don't know which way they went, and maybe I was more feminine some ways and more masculine in other ways, but just to have them rebalanced, I think was just so powerful. And so, kind of talking about the Egyptian vibes, and I had mentioned it about the altar earlier, which was so awesome. I'm so glad I got to sit next to it, because it was like, I didn't even know that this thing existed in the first ceremony. I was off in my little corner, and now I'm like right here, and I have this awesome view, and I had checked it out before ceremony, and they have these crystals and candles and different kind of like feathers, and maybe even like a skull, but all these different things. And not only was the music and the story of the feminine and the masculine, but the altar was also telling this awesome story. And the when I was looking at the altar and the flames, I actually got hieroglyphs were actually projecting onto this altar. And I don't know if it was somehow like I was able to translate it into my mind, and that's kind of how these downloads would come to me, or if I was able to interpret what they meant. But this altar just had this beautiful dance and story all in itself, and I had this front row seat basically, and it was like I was just tucked in. I had my blanket, and I reconnected kind of with my inner child, and it was like, I'm just here for the story and the journey, and whatever realizations come to me and I'm able to get while this kind of performance and show is going on, like I am here, and I am I am tuned in, and I am ready to be a part of this experience. So it was awesome. It was fun. It was liberating, and just so many different downloads again that I just got, and reconnecting with my inner child, and just connecting with just the old ways of how we used to kind of tell stories, before the internet came, which was spoken word or music or even an altar, and that was really beautiful to reconnect with, and something that I'm going to take with me outside of ceremony. So yeah, I think that's kind of everything I wanted to talk about for this second ceremony. It was, again, as you can tell, very powerful, and it almost felt like each ceremony just got progressively more powerful, and they were powerful in their own way, but it's like the more you get to experience the medicine and work with these awesome shamans and newer shamans and different ceremonies at Rythmia, it's like you're just going into it and getting so much more out of it. So I'm going to end this video here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, I am going to say that if this is something that really resonated with you and you decide to book your stay at Rythmia, if you wouldn't mind mentioning my name, it's Sam Kern. I would really appreciate it. They have this wonderful program down there where if you have 3 people mention your name at booking, I would actually be gifted a free stay. So if it's something you end up doing and feel called to do so, I'd really appreciate you mentioning my name. Again, it's Sam Kern. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you for our part 4 of the video series. Thanks so much.